It seems, I could be wrong or partially wrong, that we all belong to a group, or we all think we belong to a group. Whether we are encouraged to be this way or come out of diapers seeking eyes bloodshot and lungs apant, seeking this group, I don't know. Needing it as our foundation or the platform from which we shoot off, it seems necessary, and a comfort, and upon finding it, a great enlightenment, we think it descends upon the place beneath. Church, marriage, parenthood, all promise slices of the belonging pie. You are not alone. I had a series of dreams in my mid-20s when I was not growing up. I was running in Africa, let's say Kenya, could be Tanzania, with other boys across a wild land. We were being watched by old men on a cliff on the right above us. We had been warned we would be hit with a spear while we ran. It was a ritual. No one was afraid, just running, perhaps excited, just perhaps dodging like boys do. I heard a snap, and I knew a spear had marked me. It hit me in the left hand, the receiving hand. I stopped and flopped and bled, and suddenly the elder who had thrown it was upon me, demanding to see the wound. He pulled out the spear, a dart really. He had thrown it, and wrapped my palm tightly, murmuring all the while an incantation and instruction while looking deep into me. He was small, like a bushman, and ancient indeed, very serious at this time, though in my dream memory and from my conscious knowledge of Lawrence van der Post, these tiny men were jokesters. I've heard that about shamans. They sort of exist with a kind of cryptic sense of fun, but then when they need to be focused, they are absolutely focused, as if the sense of fun was necessary as a recovery from the seriousness. Maybe reminding us of their trickster nature and trickster function, these people, men and women, show up again and again in my life like guardians. They are beyond admiring. I remained in all the dreams myself, a white adolescent, most serious and obedient to these men. The other boys were Africans. There was no separation. I was one of them, just pale. We were a chattering, obedient lot in this flowing sprint, halted, all hit by spears on the left, the receiving hand, and each wound examined and pronounced upon. This was the middle of something, not a stop. No particular change happened, except it was our first encounter with the elders. And from here we were taken seriously, us boys. From here something began. I must say, I cannot say that there weren't girls running too. This far from the dreams, it does not seem unlikely that they were running too. It was not a group defined that way. This is what I remember. And from here, I remember one grew stronger, why we might do groups, go group. You might go there because you are categorized negatively by the supergroup, as African Americans are, no ifs, ands, or buts. Then you might belong to the group that characterized them negatively and apparently feel aggrieved. You have no real cause to moan, no equality of grievance. Welcome to WASP world. Let this fall where it may among us. Let it rain upon the place beneath. But it has no part in my life. I am, in a way, atop the food chain, groupily. Historically, the apartheider and genocider. Yes, that was us. I have no confusion here. I was offered Armenian-ness, ho, 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 legit grievance card. I remember my dad put it out there when I was in my teens. I met an amazing great uncle who was 7 in 1915. His village, the story went, were roped together at the wrist and tossed into a river, possibly the Araxes River. He, being tiny, was at the end of the line. His wrists slipped the knot, and he drifted apart. He was pulled out of the water by the legendary savage nomadic Kurds and taken in. I met him in the mid-70s at a family wedding and sat next to him at the reception dinner, a very joyous, powerful fellow with agate worry beads sliding through his fingers and the shocking blue eyes of the Armenian, who were otherwise dark. He was not united by tragedy or persecution. He was united to something by something else. I think he had very little English, but I knew I was listening to his jokes in Armenian and laughing a lot. I think he is an ancestor. I think the misnomered anti-Semitism is really worth looking at, being around now and forever for sure, but looking at it from the beginning, at its root. Ruth Weiss complains that Tevye, from The Fiddler on the Roof, his forgiveness of his daughter for marrying the Polish soldier, a Catholic, is a betrayal of Judaism. The forgiveness, the forgiving. I read this and my first instinctive feeling was admiration, good on you. Then a worry within the great blob in the Christian nationalist culture of Eurasia that kind of independence, that non-assimilation will get you oppressed and pogromed every time. My admiration remains, but I'm admiring from a distance. There are tribes that bring up their young to love the other. Unequally yoking does not fly with that crowd. I am I, first, my group occurs, often unremarked by me, and it is absolutely not necessary to my existence. Is the rejection of the Polish husband defensive, a reaction to discrimination, or is it an original insistence on purity, a supremacism? To be clear, either way, I think you should be allowed to do this and not persecuted for living in that world. If anything recommends the US Constitution, it would be the interpretation that allows for that non-assimilation. It was an accident. Even Thomas Jefferson, who was famously not a fan of conventional walking on water religion, there was only room for one demigod on his mount, meant us to be free to worship the three. This was not applied to the heathen native population of the Americas. Their freedom was not free. Their religion was not free. Judaism was barely tolerated in the US because it is part of the monotheist family. They knew that all three demanded obedience, and they smiled upon that, aristocratic slave owners that they were. I speak of this from afar. I'm not in any of the groups, none of the religions. All my explanations are unshared. They must all be explained. There are no commandments being obeyed. There's no shorthand. A friend argues, choose Jesus or Muhammad, cryptic, as if it is a choice, for sure, but choose one as what? An influencer? They are interesting people. Muhammad may be more interesting to me because we're not asked to imagine a charismatic, but I don't follow leaders. I really don't. It's no great claim at all in any way, ever. I missed that gene. My dad was not my hero. He might have been heroic, but I was thrilled by other things. They were not original as the prophets. They spoke what we already knew, what we know. If you don't know their message independently by the age of 15, there is truly no hope, and the species suicide inherent in monotheism is the future. I suspect that the ordinaries they spoke that make up the books, if one tiptoes around the horrors that are Deuteronomy and unequally yoked of Corinthians, is remarkable tracts that read like Nazi manifestos. All that's left that is remarkable is that humans have shown that the stupider the unifier, the more unifying it is. USA! England is a Christian nation. If you think Sharia is draconian, I do. Investigate the education of Orthodox Jews or Christians. If we are equal, we are. We are certainly equal to the prophets and the patriarchs. They might have the advantage of being invented by you, but you are better than they are every day in every way.